He came in on fire. The governor of the great state of Ohio, John Kasich here, the Republican presidential candidate, came in, started shooting hoops, got on the golf simulator, hit a couple of nice pitch and weds, par 3 7th at Pebble. This is fun. You should have this, in Washington, D.C.
How do you know I don't?
Now, you were talking a pretty good game there with basketball.
Well, look, we used to play the congressional basketball game. It was really fun. And actually, they were good players. A lot of them played in college. So we played against McMillan after he had a triple-double in the NBA the year before, and we ended up beating him. So Lefty Drizel was the announcer, and he selected me as the MVP. It was one of the greatest moments of my lifetime.
Now, McMillan played at Maryland, went to the NBA, 6'11". And
really good player.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy, too. But we used to play, it was one thing we used to do in Washington is we'd play ball at 4 o'clock every day, knock each other around, Republicans, Democrats. We got along. We had a lot of fun. And once a year, we'd play that basketball game. We'd play a baseball game, too. And that was always a lot of fun. The coach was a guy named Silvio Conti from Massachusetts. And he's kept me on the bench for 2 or 3 years. And then somebody got hurt. I played shortstop. I went 4 for 5, no errors in the field. I got named MVP. And they asked Conti, well, you're such a judge of talent. Why didn't you play the kid? He said, well, I didn't want to bring him along too fast. But, sports is great. I just love it. And, people say, do you watch, like, news and all that? And I say, I watch the Golf Channel. I watch ESPN. I have the Bleacher Report on my iPad. I mean, I love sports,
But how important is a sports background in being in politics? Does
well,
it help
I don't
at
know
all?
about that, Dan. I mean, you don't want to be a nerd. I mean, if you're a sports person, you're going to be a pretty regular guy. And
but
as a kid,
competition-wise?
Well, as a kid, that's all we did was play ball, play baseball, play basketball up at the schoolyard. It was a magical time because there were enough kids to really be able to play with full teams and all that. And so, we a lot of time we didn't have a right fielder. So when somebody would hit it to the right of second base, we'd spend a half an hour yelling and screaming at each other about whether it was fair or foul. And that's where I kind of learned how to argue. It's when I learned about competition. I was always smaller than everybody else, so I had to, really work at it. It's great, and sports is just fantastic. And what can I say? So I follow a lot of it. I've been following the Masters, of course. I've been amazed at Spieth and what he did yesterday.
But would you rather did you want to be a politician or an athlete growing up?
No, I never thought I would be an athlete. I wanted to be a lawyer. Just one thing kind of led to another, and things happened. It kind of worked out, one foot in front of the other. But I just love to follow it. It's like so relaxing to me. I'm so mad that the Masters isn't on at this point. I woke up this morning. I tried to put it on. You get these little snippets on the news, and that's about it.
Have you played Augusta?
Yes. Yeah.
How'd you do?
Well, I'm kind of like bragging now. Okay, the people are tired of this, right? My staff is here, and they're like, "But
are they rolling their eyes?"
Look, yeah, they are. But I tell you, the first time I went twice. I've been invited again, but I just haven't gone back. But the first time I went, they used to have a kind of an old practice range, and they've redone the whole thing. But when we were there the first time, they told me the caddies bet on you. They watch you swing on the practice range, and then they lay down bets. So we got to the 18th hole, and I forgot. I mean, up to that point, I'd forgot about the betting. So I hit my ball out by the sand trap on the left. Now, today, I think you have to hit that 300 yards, but we were playing the members' tees. And I remember I was 155 yards from the pin. I told the caddy to give me a 7-iron. And he said, no, you need to hit a 6. And we argued back and forth. And finally, I remembered, hey, they bet on you. So I said, okay, give me the 6. So I hit the 6 and knocked it in the hole for a 2.
So you got an eagle on 18.
Yeah, and I looked at the caddy and I said, I told you it was the 6-iron. So, yeah, it was really remarkable.
I got traded on the first tee by the caddies.
Yes, there you
I didn't
go.
realize.
Have you played a bunch there?
Twice. But my caddy had my clubs, and next thing I know, the other caddy's got my clubs. I said, what just happened? He said, I traded for you. So, but the experience was great.
You have such a great job and with such a great crew, and I wish everybody could see your studio. So how did all this happen for you? How did it all start? Did you want to do radio when you were a kid, or how did this all happen?
I wanted to be in sports, but I didn't know how to be in sports. But I just started consuming as much sports as possible, trivia. I wanted to be prepared if I ever got the opportunity. And, you may not look the right way or may not sound the right way, but I wanted to have the knowledge there if I was ever, got the opportunity to do it. So I did some radio and then got into TV, went to CNN. Then from CNN, I went to ESPN and spent 18 years there, and then decided that I wanted to do it on my own terms with my own guys. And, we just did it in a man cave there. So I was lucky. But the 18 years at ESPN helped me prepare for this moment.
No question about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although you walked in and you started railing against ESPN with me and Bill Simmons.
Well, no, the only thing that I've been asking the question because it seems as though they got a pretty heavy hand. That's what it seemed to me. I mean, we're all fans of ESPN because, it's 24 hours, it's cool, it's fun. Of course, we all love the commercials and, the commercial broadcasts for ESPN. They're clever. But I just didn't know what to make of the whole Simmons thing. It's like there's a war there, and I didn't understand what it was, and you're not there anymore, and I just can't figure it out if they just, if you cross them, they, pound you. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it.
Well, I think that, boy, do I want to get into this?
Well, you brought it up.
Well, no, you brought it up when you walked in.
I know, but then you brought it up on the air. I mean...
No, I was saying to my guys, do I want to bring this up? Because I always walk down this road. And
well, then maybe you should.
It's not a yellow brick road. I think that it's like most companies. They want total control. But Bill Simmons wanted total control.
Of the content of everything.
Yeah. So, you get to... It's a tug of war.
So, I was at Fox for 9 years, and I was on the air at Fox News, and... They never bothered me with content. I mean, they would give me segments to do, but they never really would tell me how to do them. Never. So you're saying that you would want to do certain things and they didn't want you to do them, and you struggle for independence. That's understandable.
Yeah, I think it got to the point where they had outgrown me or I'd outgrown them. And, I don't know. I think the same with Bill Simmons.
What makes for a brilliant – you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I want to interview you because this is interesting to me. What makes for a brilliant sports analyst? What is it that makes you or Simmons? Who else would you put up? I mean, you are, and so is Simmons. Who else would you say would be up there? And what makes you guys what you are? Is it a different take on things? What is it?
I think you have to be curious, and you have to question, and you have to listen when you have people on, and I think that you'll learn an awful lot that way. I think you have to be fearless at times. I think you have to be willing to put yourself out there. I don't think it's any different than a politician, that you have to be able to take a stand, back up your stand, and you're going to have people coming at you from all arrows or angles with slings and arrows. And if you're willing to put yourself out there, I think the audience wants you to have an opinion, and they respect that.
Dan, who would of the athletes over? I can't even imagine how many you've met. Who would you put up in kind of the top of people that you found really fascinating, athletes that you were like, wow, now that person's in their own class?
I think the guy who's honest. Because
so who would stand out for you?
Barkley has always been honest with me.
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been honest with me.
That's an interesting story. Because, a lot of times, I mean, with his father, right, like the greatest guy ever, it was interesting. I would have thought that he had the most NASCAR wins, but he's not even close to it. But he generated the spirit of the whole sport. And then you would have thought, well, Junior, can Junior really, I mean, he's Junior, right? But this guy has been terrific, hasn't he?
Great for the sport. And imagine going back to the scene of where your dad died. And he does that twice a year at Daytona. Hundreds of laps, and you're going by where your father died. And to be able to talk about that is, I marvel whenever Junior brings it up. I don't know if I could do that. I go by where my dad died, and I do that twice a year at races. So he's just been honest about the most personal thing to him is his father dying. And I don't want to waste the audience's time. If you're tuning in or staying in your car, I want you to stay 5 minutes later and be late for work because I'm going to give you something.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's interesting, I'm sitting here thinking, why is it that people are so drawn to this? I think it's human excellence, isn't it? And foibles at times. The guy that, bounces the ball out of bounds, or You know what I think is a really terrible story now, and I don't know what to make of it, is this story of Sharapova. You know, I can't figure out if she did something wrong. I mean, was this a performance enhancement drug, or was this a medical thing? What was the story?
Now, she's used it for a long time.
Right.
But they changed the rule.
Did she, you think?
I'm going to guess, well, there's a list of things that you can't take. Now, whether she didn't click on it, as she said, and look at the list that's on there, then that's her fault. They're viewing it as a performance-enhancing drug. So you had the opportunity. They gave you the information. If you chose to ignore it, or you just missed it, you still have to pay the price. I don't know how heavy the price is, but it's already been heavy. A lot of these sponsors have dropped their...
I know. Let me ask you a bunch of
Well, wait,
ones.
can I take a break here?
Yeah, sure, of course.
And
you got to pay for this.
Yes, I do. Yes, and it's expensive. I got to pay for all these Secret Service guys around here, and your coffee that I got you. And if you want to shoot hoops during the break, you can, or you want to.
We're going to talk more.
You want to go to the golf simulator?
No,
you're done. You've done it.
You hit it on the green.
Okay,
you just walk away.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right. So we'll talk to the Ohio Governor, John Kasich, who's joining us here in the Man Cave. We'll come back. Also, I want to see if the governor will do a Jim Nance impersonation, since we have a contest today. Are you capable of a Jim Nance impersonation?
No, I'm not good at it. No, I don't think so.
Well, you don't have to sound exactly like him. It's just more of you welcome people on the air at Augusta. Like you're hosting.
Sort of like we're here at Augusta, and I have to really act like I like Nick Faldo.
Hello, friends. All right, we'll come back. We'll come back with the governor after this on the Dan Patrick Show. We're continuing with the Ohio governor, Republican presidential candidate John Kasich, joining us here in the Man Cave. I think you could stay here all day there, Governor.
Well, we're talking about, your guy was in here talking about Ohio State, and I was talking about Woody Hayes. And Woody, people remember him, because slugging that guy. A lot of people think, he was a diabetic. Maybe he hadn't taken his medication. And because Woody loved his players loved him. He didn't take, contracts. They tried to make a movie of his life. He told me he went out to Hollywood, didn't like it, came home, didn't want any of that. But I'll tell you a funny story, and this is kind of Woody. They have this dedication of this Jesse Owens Memorial outside Ohio Stadium, and I read about it in the paper. So I go up. I figure there'll be thousands of people. I get there. It's raining. There's like no one there. The president of the university, Woody, the Owens family, a couple other people. They do the dedication, and I'm standing with Woody and Mrs. Owens, and I look at Woody. I say, Coach, at Jesse Owens, greatest athlete you'd ever seen, huh? Woody goes, oh, no. Paul Warfield, no, that was a great athlete.
The wide receiver.
Yeah, but I mean, that was Woody, though. He was direct. He was really something else. So let's talk a little NBA. So what do you think?
Well, wait. Let me get a political question in here. Has this been a good year for politics?
I don't think so. I don't think it's been good. I think that people are just like, what is going on? And that's not a good thing. I mean, there's been very little about issues and a whole lot about personalities and name calling, and that's not the way it. If you want to go see a good hockey game, you don't want to have a fight every 5 minutes. If you go to a car race, you don't want to just see a crash all the time. And it's like that's what it's been, just crashes and fights, and I don't think it's good. I don't think it's healthy. Maybe it's just what we're going through. People are unsettled, Dan. They think they're getting ripped off, and some of this is being fed by the media itself, stirring people up. I remember that segment they used to run about the guy who was surfing in Hawaii who was on food stamps, So they take these things and they blow them up, and it just infuriates people. And and the other thing is, I tell you what's driving people crazy. Their kids go to college, and then they get out, and they can't find a job. And they think the system isn't working for them. So there is a palpable frustration, maybe an anger, but you have two ways of looking at it. Either you go and you fix it, or all you do is drive people down into the ditch farther. I don't think driving them into the ditch farther is a good thing. I think it's better to tell them how you fix it.
All right, finish this sentence, then we'll do one NBA question.
What do you mean one?
I have two.
Okay.
And we'll do two. Okay. We'll do. If Donald Trump is the Republican nominee.
He's not going to be, so I'm not even going there. What are you, like a political reporter? This is what I get all day long. I thought I was in here to have fun.
Well, I thought I'd sneak a couple in.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay, sneak one more in. He's not. I don't believe he's going to be the nominee. Look, here's where we're going, just for your edification.
I'm just saying, if he was.
But what if you were my vice president's pick if I were the nominee? What would you say? Yes?
Yes, I would.
Would you?
Yes, I would.
But
if asked, I will serve.
Well, what about all the dirt that'll come out of ESPN about you?
I think we could still be that strong that we could get past this. And I got big hands, too. My hand size is big, if that matters as well.
Yeah, here's where we're going, just so people know. We're going to go to a convention. It's going to be really something we haven't seen since, like, 1948. And the delegates are going to get there, and they're going to figure out who can win in the fall and who could be president. It's going to be very interesting. And you're going to spend time talking about it even here, because it's going to dominate the news, and it's going to be something to see.
Could you take Trump?
No.
Physically?
Could I take him?
Physically? Wrestling match?
Well, how about in foul shooting?
Oh, I'd take you with foul shooting.
I wasn't that hot today, though. How about golf?
He's pretty good.
At golf?
Yeah.
Have you played with him?
He nudges things a little bit.
You mean he gives a little foot wedge? Yeah. Well, you can't use a foot wedge in golf. He
almost thinks that he's presidential even before
I got you.
All of this. Okay, now hit me with a couple NBA questions.
All right, so what do you think about the fact that these old timers are just talking about how they would shut down Steph Curry and this whole business of putting him down? What's wrong with these guys?
But it's territorial, though, Governor, that you feel strongly about. If I said, favorite football team, you might say the Buckeyes from 1974, even though today's teams at Alabama would beat them. I think that they're proud of their era in what they did. I do think that the Bulls of the 90s would beat Golden State. Yeah. I do think the Celtics and Lakers from the 80s would beat Golden State. I just hate to see we denigrate today because of what we saw yesterday. And that's not fair to the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is the question that has to be asked about Golden State, because it's been written a little bit about, are they changing the very nature of the game? In other words, you think about the forward pass, change football. Okay, you think about, I don't know what the live ball maybe in baseball. I don't know. Different things that come along that change the whole sport. Fosbury flop. Remember that guy jumped over the thing in a different way.
Yes.
Have the Warriors fundamentally changed the way that the NBA works?
But only if you have the players to be able to play that way. Because you can have guys who can jack it up from 35 feet. They make it from 35 feet. They shot, I think, close to 80% in the third quarter last night. I mean, that's crazy for a jump shooting team. So they're changing the style, but you have to have the players to fit this style. I do have a sports politic question. All right, ready for this?
Yeah.
Can we make Monday after the Super Bowl a national holiday?
It should be. I mean, there's no productivity whatsoever.
Exactly. Right?
You
got our votes right there.
Yeah, I think it should be. I'm gonna take that under consideration. Maybe I could get that done in the first 100 days. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win the Masters?
Well, I picked Jason Day, but I think it's Rory or Spieth. Who do you got?
You know what? I think you're right. I mean, Jason. Well, he's still not out of it.
He stumbled yesterday.
But there's McIlroy seems like he's got the attitude. I mean, just how do you know? How about this guy DeChambeau? What's the story with him?
The amateur. He's changed. All of his clubs are the same length.
Yeah. You know what I read today? They asked him if he was nervous. He said no. And this is really interesting. He said, I'm not nervous because I've been saved by grace. You know what that means? That means he's got a very strong faith, personal faith. If that's what that means. I read one line today that is what he said. I've not read it anywhere else. But that belief in a higher power, that it's sort of like me running for president. I've been very loose, having a great time, because I'm carrying out a mission, and I'm saved by grace too. So I think, when everything isn't put into achieving that thing that's right in front of you, but you have perspective, it gives you a chance to be loose. And we get it different ways, but I think that was interesting what I read. And I just know perspective makes it easier for you to perform because your ego's not caught in the middle of it.
I'll leave you with this question. Would you rather shoot hoops with Steph Curry or play golf with Jordan Spieth?
Oh, well, that's a tough one. Boy. Well, if I'm president, I could have both.
Have you played hoops against President Obama?
No, but I played golf with him. I played golf with Obama, Biden, and John Boehner. John Boehner invited me to this golf tournament, and Joe Biden was my partner. And when we showed up, he had been like practice. He was like a horse that had been lathered up. I mean, he was just dripping in sweat. And Boehner announces that he's going to have the president as a partner, and I'm going to have Biden. And Biden's, his reputation is he's a very good golfer. We were in the cart on the first hole, and then I never saw him because he was using his tree wood all the time. Dan.
You couldn't find him?
And I was at the convention, and I said, Biden says this about Republicans. Well, he also says he's a good golfer, and I know that's not true, so why would I believe anything else? Poor Joe. Poor Joe.
Could you have Urban Meyer as your running mate? Maybe
no, he's from Ohio.
Of Defense.
Well, I'll tell you something about Urban and all these big-time football coaches. Man, the focus is unbelievable, Dan. You talk about a horse with blinders on. They just run, and everything they do, everything they have,
Wouldn't Urban Meyer scare the hell out of Putin?
I'll tell you something about Meyer. He's a very tough, firm Do you know him?
Yeah, we've had him on quite a few times.
Yeah, I mean, he is really a focused guy, isn't he? I saw him the other day. He endorsed me. I saw him the other day. I said, "How's it going?" He goes, "Well, I don't have any players. They all graduated." I said, "Don't be talking to me about that, Coach. And they'll be good again." Think about the Big Ten in football, right? I mean, for a second here, there was a theory that the Big Ten, dominated. Then everything went south because of television and weather and all that. But when you think about the Big Ten now, and you think about Urban Meyer, the king of the coaches in the Big Ten, and you take Harbaugh, you take D'Antoni, and those three guys in and of themselves, they're changing. And, of course, maybe in Wisconsin, where they always seem to have good teams, they're changing the nature of Northern Big Ten football.
I know.
It's interesting to see. Faster, more athletic.
They brought the SEC, I think, in there. All right, I have to go.
You have to go.
I have to go. You're more than welcome to stay, but I have to go. He's the Ohio governor, presidential candidate, and good luck. We appreciate it.
It was fun.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.